Hi and welcome back to Stoic Station. If you're new here, I'm truly glad you've arrived. This is a place for those who seek not just answers, but understanding. A place for those who've been hurt, but refuse to stay broken. Today we're exploring something that touches the heart of many. Why do people come back after they've rejected you? Why does someone choose to walk away, only to return when the silence has settled and time has passed? These moments often leave us questioning everything, not just the relationship, but ourselves, our worth, our significance, the meaning behind their return. This isn't just about relationships, it's about human behavior, the weight of uncertainty, and how time can reveal truths that were once hidden by ego, confusion, or fear. A lot of you are very confused about why this happened, so I'm going to do my best to explain it. We'll look at the deeper reasons people second-guess what they walked away from, the emotional contradictions they carry, and most importantly, how to respond in a way that protects your peace and honors your growth. So if you've ever found yourself staring at a message from someone you thought was gone for good, wondering what it all means, stay with me. There's more beneath the surface than you think. And if this message speaks to you, if you're here not just to listen but to evolve, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to Stoic Station. Here, we don't chase closure, we create clarity. Let's begin. 1. You're doing well and she noticed. There's something quietly powerful about a man who rises after being left behind, not with noise, not with vengeance, but with grace. When you begin to rebuild yourself, not to impress, not to prove, but simply because you refuse to stay broken, the world begins to shift around you. And often the people who once overlooked you or walked away begin to feel that shift too. Maybe it starts small, a promotion you post online, a change in your appearance, a healthier, stronger version of the man you were. Maybe it's not even something visible, maybe it's the calm you now carry, the way your presence no longer reaches but rests. You don't chase, you don't explain, you simply are. And that's when she notices. The one who left, the one who doubted, the one who said you weren't what she needed. She sees the difference, and for the first time, it's not her world that seems so put together, it's yours. And in that silence, she wonders, did she make a mistake? Her message might come casually, hey, just checking in. How have you been? But don't mistake the light tone for light intention. She's not just reaching out to reconnect. She's reaching out because something about you now feels magnetic. Because without saying a word, you've become what so many try to be, a man who is centered. But here's what you must remember. This moment, her return, her curiosity, her regret, isn't your reward. Your peace is. You didn't become stronger to get her back. You became stronger to get yourself back. That's the difference between attraction and alignment. Attraction fades. Alignment endures. You can attract someone through games, through attention-seeking, through trying to prove your worth. But alignment, that only comes when you are living in full integrity with who you are becoming. And when you carry that kind of self-respect, quiet, unwavering, unshakable, it's not just attractive, it's rare. And rare things make people pause, especially those who once took you for granted. Let's be honest, in the past, maybe you did beg, maybe you did over-explain, maybe you poured your heart out hoping she would stay, or come back, or love you the way you needed to be loved. But now, you've learned, you've grown, you've come to realize that silence can speak louder than words, and distance can create more clarity than conversations ever will. And while she may see you now and feel a pull, you must ask the deeper question, do I want someone who only notices my worth when it shines in her absence? Because the truth is, not everyone who leaves you deserves to return. Sometimes their absence was the exact thing your soul needed to unfold into the man you were always meant to become. And her noticing that now, that's not a sign to open the door wide. It's a sign that you've stepped into your power. Understand this deeply. The most profound transformation doesn't come from revenge or proving them wrong. It comes from letting go of the need to be seen at all. You become powerful not when she sees you again, but when it no longer matters whether she does. So what if she circles back? What if she suddenly values your ambition, your kindness, your depth? That's fine. Let her admire from afar. Let her see the version of you she once couldn't hold space for. Let her witness what it means to truly evolve. But don't shrink to make her comfortable. Don't pause your growth for a maybe. Don't let the echo of the past interrupt the rhythm you've built in the present. Because a man grounded in his purpose doesn't lose himself in attention. He doesn't perform for love. He becomes love. He embodies stability, direction, and depth, not for applause, not for likes, not for validation, but because he knows who he is and what he brings into the world. So let this be your quiet reminder. Don't glow to get her back. Glow because that's who you are now. Don't become magnetic to regain someone. Become magnetic because you finally stopped reaching. And if she notices, that's not your prize. Your peace, your growth, your quiet strength, that's the real win. You were never meant to chase what walked away. You were meant to walk forward, so powerfully, so completely, that anything not meant for you is left in the distance, exactly where it belongs. 2. She couldn't find anything better. Sometimes people leave not because they truly know what they want, but because they believe there must be something better out there. They chase the thrill of newness, the excitement of unknown possibilities, and for a while it might even feel like they were right. The conversations are fresh, the compliments unfamiliar, and the chemistry electric. But what they often forget is that novelty fades. And when it does, what's left behind is not depth, not loyalty, not understanding, but emptiness. The new partner may have been more exciting, more charming, more mysterious, but excitement doesn't mean security. Charm doesn't replace consistency, and mystery fades quickly when life gets hard and real emotional presence is required. She left thinking the grass was greener. What she found was that the better she imagined was nothing more than a mirage, a projection of hope onto someone who never had the foundation to carry her through life's storms. Now she remembers you, your steadiness, the way you showed up, the way you listened even when it was hard, the way you never needed to impress because your strength came from something internal. And so she circles back. But before you open the door again, stop and ask yourself a simple, powerful question. Do you really want to be someone's second choice? Someone's fallback plan after their search for more failed? Because let's be honest, there's a vast difference between being someone's comfort after disappointment and being someone's conviction from the start. Being chosen by someone only after they couldn't find anything better isn't the same as being truly wanted. It isn't the same as being deeply seen, deeply appreciated, and deeply loved. It's conditional. It's convenient. It's not the kind of love that grows roots. You are not a placeholder. You are not a safe bet when reckless choices don't work out. You are not the quiet harbor someone returns to just because they couldn't survive the storm they chased. You are a world of your own. You are someone who brings depth, peace, stability, and meaning to a relationship. You are the man who listens when others only speak, who stays calm when others panic, who builds when others run. That kind of presence should be honored, not returned to out of regret. So let her circle back. Let her remember what she lost. But don't let that be enough. You are not here to be someone's lesson. You are here to be someone's final decision. someone's undeniable choice, not because others failed, but because she finally recognized the quiet strength that was always there. Let that be your standard, not resentment, not ego, just truth. Because when you know your value, the thought of being anyone's second best no longer tempts you. It humbles you into waiting for what's real. 3. She took genuine time to grow. Not every departure is an act of selfishness. Sometimes people walk away not because they want something more, but because they finally realize they're not ready for the kind of love you offered. They aren't running from you. They're stepping into a space they need in order to face the parts of themselves they've long avoided. She may have carried emotional wounds long before she met you. Maybe she struggled with trust or never fully felt safe within herself. Maybe she tried to love you through brokenness she hadn't yet addressed, and in that process, something felt off. Not because you were wrong for each other, but because she wasn't right within herself. So she left, not out of spite, not out of malice, but because she knew that staying would mean offering you a half-hearted version of herself. And in a world that often glorifies avoidance, it takes courage to step away and say, I need to heal before I can fully love. That's why this kind of story deserves grace. When someone truly takes time to grow, not just in name, not just for show, but in the quiet, painful solitude of real reflection and accountability, it changes them. Time alone doesn't guarantee change, but time paired with deep, honest effort does. Therapy, inner work, learning how to be whole on their own, owning past mistakes. If she walks back into your life from that place, not from fear, not from loneliness, not because nothing else worked out, but from true clarity and maturity, then perhaps her return deserves to be met with open eyes, if not an open door. But let's not romanticize the waiting. You were never meant to sit still, frozen in time, hoping someone would find their way back. Your life is not a holding pattern for someone else's journey. Don't pause your healing. Don't suspend your joy. Don't tie your growth to the possibility of her return. Live fully. Expand into yourself. Pursue peace, not to make a point, but because it's your birthright. The love you've been searching for doesn't begin with someone returning. It begins with you returning to yourself, your strength, your rhythm, your wholeness. And if one day she returns, changed, grounded, present, you'll recognize the difference. Not because her words are prettier, but because her energy feels safer, more rooted, less about need and more about choice. Still, even then, remember, the most powerful love you'll ever receive is not the one someone else brings to your door. It's the one you learn to give yourself after you've been left standing in the silence. Because from that silence, you didn't just survive, you rose. 4. You're with someone new. There's a strange irony in how people suddenly see your worth more clearly the moment someone else does. It's as if your value becomes more visible only when reflected through the admiration of someone new. And for the one who left you behind, that realization often arrives with a quiet sting. When she sees you with another woman, one who smiles effortlessly in your presence, who leans into your warmth, who laughs like she belongs by your side, it disrupts the story she told herself. The narrative that you'd always be there, that you'd always long for her, begins to crumble. And what replaces it is discomfort, uncertainty, maybe even regret. It isn't always about love. Sometimes it's simply the loss of attention. She once occupied a space in your life that made her feel significant. She was the center of your gaze, the focus of your energy. But now, that gaze has shifted. That energy is being poured into someone else. And even if she doesn't want you back in any meaningful way, the thought of you no longer needing her, no longer thinking of her, can ignite something she hadn't anticipated. jealousy. But jealousy isn't love, and missing attention isn't the same as missing connection. It's easy to confuse longing with meaning, especially when ego is involved. When she sees you building something with someone new, she might come back, not because she's suddenly realized the depth of your soul, but because she doesn't want to be replaced. Because the idea of being forgotten is harder to stomach than the reality of being alone. You have to be careful here. You are not someone's ego boost. You are not the placeholder she reclaims when the silence becomes too loud. And if she starts showing interest again, it shouldn't be because you're no longer available. It should be because she now truly sees the man you've become and regrets not honoring that version of you when it mattered most. Many will try to revisit the past, not because they want to build something new, but because they miss the control, the familiarity, the comfort of being wanted. But don't confuse that desire with genuine intention. If she's only drawn back to you because you're now desired by someone else, then what she's responding to is competition, not compatibility. A woman who truly sees your soul won't wait until another woman is holding your hand to realize what she lost. She'll see your worth in the quiet moments, the ones without applause. She'll recognize the way you listen, the way you lead with calm strength, the way you remain present even in silence. And if she comes back, let it not be because you've moved on, but because she's finally awakened to the man who was always there, offering something real. So if you're with someone new and she reaches out, pause. Ask yourself, is this about love or about loss of attention? Is this about shared history or fear of irrelevance? Because the difference matters. You don't need someone who's reacting to your happiness. You need someone who contributes to it. Someone who doesn't just remember what you were, but honors who you are now. And if she can't love you in your solitude, she doesn't deserve a place beside you in your strength. 5. Second guessing and regret. We live in a time where commitment often takes a back seat to curiosity, where dating apps offer an endless scroll of possibilities, where social media constantly whispers, there might be someone better. And in this age of instant gratification and filtered realities, people have forgotten how to stand by their choices, how to water the garden they planted instead of running off to chase another patch of green. She may have walked away thinking she was heading towards something greater, or maybe she wasn't thinking much at all, just following a feeling, a flicker of doubt, a whisper that said there might be more. But when the noise fades, and when the faces blur into sameness, that's when regret often creeps in. That's when she starts to look back, not necessarily in love, but in confusion. She may revisit the past with softened eyes, remembering the safety, the patience, the quiet strength you gave. But not all regret is born from love. Sometimes regret is fear. Fear that what she had was better than she realized, and now it's gone. Sometimes regret is loneliness, disguised as reflection, a hunger for comfort when the world grows too quiet. That's why you must be cautious when someone returns after uncertainty, because you don't need someone who's unsure about you. You don't need someone who's swinging back and forth between you and some idea of what else might be out there. You need someone who's certain, someone who not only comes back, but arrives with clarity, who doesn't just knock on the door, but walks through it with both feet planted and a heart that no longer wavers. And if you're still healing from her indecision, if her leaving left you questioning your own worth, know this: your pain doesn't make you broken, it makes you honest. But honesty must lead somewhere deeper, not into bitterness, but into release. Write the words you never got to say. Put them on paper. Don't hold them in your chest like unfinished thoughts. Write her a letter you'll never send. Say everything you buried under silence. Then let it go. Because healing doesn't happen by pretending nothing happened. It happens when you acknowledge what hurt, what lingered, and what you finally decided to set down. You weren't rejected. You were redirected. Life has a way of pulling people from your world, not to punish you, but to protect you, to open space, to remove confusion so you can meet someone who doesn't make you question where you stand. Not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Sometimes it's a lesson. Sometimes it's a clearing. And sometimes it's the very thing that pushes you closer to the man you were always meant to become. A man who no longer waits to be chosen because he's already chosen himself. So when she second guesses, when she circles back with uncertainty in her eyes, remember the difference between someone who misses you and someone who's ready for you. One soothes her discomfort, the other honors your presence. And at this stage in your life, that distinction makes all the difference. And when you finally stop waiting for someone who couldn't choose you the first time, you begin to see things clearly. You begin to realize that regret, no matter how sincere, can't rebuild what indecision eroded. Because love, at its core, isn't about circling back. It's about showing up the first time with both clarity and commitment. So while her second guessing may stir old emotions, your growth has given you new eyes. And from this place of clarity, we arrive at something more important than closure, something deeper than the desire for answers. We arrive at the truth that not every return is a victory, and not every apology deserves a door held open. It's here we find the final and most powerful shift. Yes, they may come back. In fact, many do. But not every return is redemption, and not every reappearance is a reason to reconcile. Sometimes they return because the silence became louder than they expected, because your absence felt heavier than your presence ever did. But that doesn't mean they're ready. It doesn't mean they've changed. It simply means they noticed the space you once filled, and now they miss what they took for granted. The truth is, most people don't expect you to rise. They expect you to chase. They expect you to wait, to stay emotionally tethered, quietly hoping for another chance. They count on your need for closure to keep you reachable. But when you stop reaching, when you no longer explain or justify or beg to be understood, it disrupts the script. You weren't supposed to grow, you weren't supposed to find peace, but you did. And that is what unsettles them. Let them return if they choose to, but don't let that return shake the foundation you built in their absence. Don't hand them the power to derail your healing or rewrite your strength. You don't need closure from someone who couldn't handle your love the first time. You don't need their validation now that you've learned how to validate yourself. Because the greatest comeback isn't proving them wrong. It's becoming so rooted in who you are that their opinion no longer defines your worth. The true victory isn't in getting them back. It's in never losing yourself again. If this message spoke to something in you, if it helped you reflect or see things from a new angle, consider giving it a like and subscribing to Stoic Station. This space is here for men who are choosing strength over noise, self-worth over chasing, and clarity over confusion. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you experienced any of these moments yourself? What did it teach you? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. I also host Q&As and more interactive conversations over on my story, so if you want to be a part of that, make sure to follow along. As always, thank you for being here, for choosing growth, and for showing up, not just for this content, but for yourself. I'll see you in the next one.